Welcome to the Port Huron statement. Excuse me, I've had a bit of a cold and it doesn't matter. What we're seeing, what we're all witnessing, is the product of a system that's been built on corruption, built on deception and addiction to power. We've allowed a culture of narcissism, sociopathy, and elitism to become the core and default setting in our world. This worldview is flawed, and it is also the root cause of the perpetuation of suffering in our world. We have become convinced that self-interest is the only path to success, and that wealth is a measure of personal value, and that those who accumulate the most power and wealth are somehow the most deserving. This is not just wrong, but it is a lie that has been engineered into the very fabric of our culture. The reality is that people who perpetuate this lie are often the most miserable, the most uninspired, and the least talented. They are trapped in a self-centered worldview that tells them that their success or wealth is what matters most, no matter who they step on or leave behind to get there. These are the same people who propagate a worldview where supremacy is the ultimate goal, where power is a cosmic reward in itself, and where the struggles of the many are irrelevant to the sense of entitlement and the incarnation of supremacy. The worst part is, they're miserable, empty, and stagnant, and they're forcing the entirety of our society into their self-made nightmare. We have a media that has become enslaved by this system. It is meant to inform and educate and hold the power accountable, but it's become a tool of the corrupt. Our media and our press now is preoccupied with spinning narratives that maintain the status quo. They are preoccupied with hiding the truth. They have become part and parcel of a quid pro quo where access is their goal rather than revealing the truth. It is a simulacrum of news. The real stories, the real injustices, the real corruption, the mismanagement of resources, of lives are all hidden beneath layers of manufactured distractions, shallow headlines, and fake outrage. I've seen the systems they've built, the ones that feed off our ignorance, our distraction, and our silence. It's in the news, it's in our education, it's in our governments, it's in our corporations, it's everywhere. Power, control, and money are worshipped, and they've designated a world where the richest and the most powerful, the most sociopathic, are able to dictate the terms of life for everyone else. They've built this system so they stay on top regardless of the human cost, regardless of the environmental cost, regardless of the cost, period. But here's the thing, we don't have to accept this. The world doesn't have to be this way. The future doesn't have to be dictated by a few greedy, corrupt, unintelligent, and intellectually lazy people who stagnate the future for everyone else, who hoard wealth while the rest of us are left to fight over scraps. They are utilizing opportunity cornering and other simple, trivial tactics to seize on desperation. There is a better way, and the key to unlocking that better future is knowledge, awareness, and action. Just being aware of the exploitation economy. This is an exploitation economy. If you think for a moment about how much potential humanity has, how much unrealized potential exists in every single person, and how that potential is constantly being squashed by the system we're living under, it is truly mind-blowing. Think of the advancements we could make in space exploration and environmental restoration and technological innovation, alternative energies. All of these things are very realizable because they don't require much new innovation, just the application of current ideas. If we stopped hoarding resources and started investing in people and collaboration and mutual discovery, just imagine if someone with ethics, intelligence, and the drive to do good had access to the resources of those who had been abusing power for so long. We could easily accomplish so very much. But here's the catch. The resources are there. They have always been there, although the resources are being rapidly squandered. It's just that the wrong people are in charge. The resources are being mismanaged to our massive detriment. We have been manipulated such that the hoarding of wealth also results in the siphoning of potential. And it's resulting in all of our perpetual exploitation in a cyclical fashion. The boom-bust cycle itself is exploitive. We need to shift the narrative. We need to shift the power itself. We need to build a world where altruism isn't just an ideal, but a fundamental guiding principle, where collaboration, not competition, is the true driver of progress. There is a profound inefficiency in the way that we are orchestrating our society. We are creating competition where competition should not exist. And we are inserting industries where they only result in inefficiencies. And this is becoming highly evident with the insurance stuff, but this is over and over and over again. And if you listen to the Kaiser Permanente and Richard Nixon conversations, this is the plan, is to perpetually erode your buying power while continuing to exploit you more and more. So, like in the case of health insurance, the idea is to offer you less and less actual health care while charging you more and more and more for it. When we change our relationship with wealth, with knowledge, and with power, that's when we'll see the true potential of humanity unlocked. That's when we'll see a world where humans can fully be free, free from the shackles of power, free from the exploitation that's been entrenched for centuries, a world where we can uplift each other instead of trampling on each other's backs to get ahead. We have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have the potential. The question is, will we choose to see through the lies? That's really what it is. Are we going to choose to see through the obvious exploitive manufacture of consent? Because it's the cognitive dissonance that it requires to continue to believe the established narrative is profound. And I don't know how you can continue to live in that dissonant world. And I'm sorry I haven't been producing much lately. I've been uncovering what would be best described as a bunch of locally operative psyops. It's really, really, really disgusting how people are being exploited. I mean, it's for trivial ends and manufacturing ends too. And you know, there's no integrity in this culture. The only thing that really matters is the accumulation of wealth. So that means people will say anything to you in order to exploit you for wealth. So be aware of this, because the most popular ones, and the ones that are popping up over and over again, are just exploitations of people's ethics, opportunities where people can claim that they are fighting to improve this terrible situation we find ourselves in, while in fact they are actually reinforcing it and pocketing the money. I mean, the number of faux charities that have been created in the area is appalling. And this is something that the FBI has, that's all security theater too. The fact of the matter is all of it is appeal to authority. We, as in humanity, collectively and individually, without the... There is no need for the blessing of an authority to recognize fundamental rights and dignity. What has been stripped from humanity is so fundamental. It is just dignity. It is just truth, even. Just the amount of insult to our collective intelligence that we are forced to swallow at this juncture just to watch media is profound. But the real problem is that they are not actually reporting on anything local, and anything that is reported on locally by Gannett or by Sinclair is, highly censored. And this is a core problem too. So we can't get real news. We're not allowed to have because we're not allowed to actually criticize the people that are to blame for our mismanaged society and our crumbling infrastructure and our devastated environment and the psychological ramifications of that. We're not allowed to say that the environment has a huge impact on people's mental health, and this mass mismanagement has huge impacts on people's mental health, even though that's what's going on. So rather than blaming yourself, start blaming the people that are in power and authority, because it is their fault. I mean, how is it not? You're in power and authority. That's the only person. People that are in authority are the only people that are in blame. The fact that the consumer somehow has been twisted into putting blame onto themselves, how? Do you manufacture things in mass and provide them to millions of people? You do not have that agency. So therefore, it is not your fault that any of these weird, I got to recycle more. It is good to recycle, but at the same time, the very fact that you need to recycle such an insane amount of plastic bottles is because of these power brokers that decided it was profitable to make single-use plastics and put that on you to deal with. And then when you do actually do it, then just burn it and dump it in the ocean, because you are more ethical than any of the people in power. And you need to realize that, because what they do is they just tell you they're going to do something, and then they just burn it and dump it in the ocean. It's appalling. And just look into everything. It's pretty much, if they say it's going to recycle it, they're just going to sell it to China, and then they're just going to burn it and dump it in the ocean. And that's going to be as good as solved to the American legislators and corporations and lawyers that are involved, because all they want is to hide the reality of how the sausage is made from you, because how the sausage is made is insanely inefficient and results in all of our impoverishization. We're all becoming impoverished because of the inefficiency and mismanagement of this system. And that is because this system really only can produce profit through exploitation. So we don't produce anything here anymore, because the billionaire class can manipulate currency and make a ton of money manipulating Chinese labor. And, their buying power inside the Chinese economy will be similar, actually more than what you would make doing the same labor here. So this notion that the Chinese are, we're just so lazy here, that's such BS. They have buying power that gives them the ability to have they make a living. You have better buying power there than you do here in these same jobs. But China still sucks. I'm not just saying China's amazing. It's that China's in cahoots with the billionaire class, and they're just going to impoverish the hell out of the middle class, and that's just an insane idea. You have to be just ludicrous to continue to perpetuate this paradigm of exploitation and running not only people but the environment into the ground. What's the end game? There is no end game. It's just self-aggrandizement, because they don't have anything else but their own superiority in their heads. And this is a lot of people. Say a lot of people. This is a lot of people. If anyone presents something as cosmologically true and it benefits them, don't trust it. If God says so, but it benefits them, it's bullshit. Plant a seed. Bullshit. All right? It's bullshit. Stop buying the bullshit. The reason this bullshit is being allowed to perpetuate is because it's effective distraction, so that you don't actually realize what's going. Go pray on it. That's essentially saying fuck you. Because anything that the pastor, priest, or whoever really wants to see happen, do they just go pray on it? No, they expect you to pay for it. But if you want to see something that actually needs to be done because it's justifiably necessary, something like, dealing with the homelessness issues or the rampant sex abuse problem in Port Huron, go pray on that. Go pray on that. But we need to spend millions of dollars on, renovations, but housing the homeless or stopping the exploitation of children. Go pray on that. That sounds like a really, really Jesus-like response. But I mean, whenever anyone tells you to pray about it, it is code for fuck you. We're not doing that, and that's not part of the agenda here. I mean, because praying doesn't do anything. Clearly, because if praying was how we got things done, wouldn't all of the priests be praying for those renovations? Because if praying is how we get things done, why aren't we praying for those things you want the most, priest and pastor and ministers? Because please understand the subtext here. Pray for it is ensuring that nothing ever gets done. Because what you're doing is, by its definition, doing nothing. I just hope that you realize, if you're sincerely trying to pray, what you should be doing is you should be trying to come up with ways to improve the world for yourself and for others. That's what it's really about. Like, read the New Testament. If you're a Christian, someone tells you to pray on it, what you should do is you should read the New Testament, the gospel, the whole way through. Read that thing, just the whole way through, and know that Pharisees is kind of like a priest or a minister. It was a culture of religious hierarchy. That's very important. It's very important because the same things are happening now to extreme detriment. Humanity could be already into the next society where we don't have to deal with these extreme cases of suffering. I mean, the profound dehumanization. When you dehumanize other people, you're dehumanizing yourself. I mean, if you're so primitive as to fail to see the humanity in some other group or person because of a trivial difference, because of skin color, or trivial beliefs, how you were indoctrinated. That's pretty much what it is. If your indoctrination differs from their indoctrination, then you hate each other because you're both indoctrinated. Or, if the other people aren't indoctrinated, but you are, it doesn't matter because you're indoctrinated, so you're gonna fucking stop buying this bullshit. It's so stupid. People are people, and if there's anything else that someone's trying to attach to that, they're exploiting you. You're ignorant if you think anything else. There is literally no justification for any of the other crap. People are people, and it's just their indoctrinations and their environments that cause the differences. And then there are other elements of genetics and things like that, but the fact is you are suppressing every single person's potential, including your own, by dehumanizing anyone and diminishing their potential. I mean, think of the things that you could be learning from these other people that you are preventing yourself from learning because you're bigoted against them. It's an enormous amount of information that you're preventing yourself from gaining the insight about. I mean, oh, geez, wow, to be in that head of elitism is to be just miserable and stupid. And I know that the miserable, stupid elitists are very unlikely to understand this message because they're in part, they're mostly just egotists. But the people that they Svengali, those people, you should be starting to see the hypocrisy, But the choice is yours, Together we can make an economy of altruism. We can make the society that Jesus envisions in the New Testament. We can make that a reality. So if you say you're for Jesus, then you should be for realizing the society that Jesus is promoting. So I do not understand how the politics of these Christians make any sense. It's because they literally are so ignorant of everything that they're ignorant of their own religion and the Bible that defines it. So please go and read whatever crappy translation of the Bible you have, but just know that they didn't translate the word Pharisees because it would be too close to the word preachers. That's important. Very important. Okay, so anyway, we don't need to settle for a future that's been built by the corrupt. I mean, I would be saying that twisting the very meaning of the Bible, but then using it to shame you, that would be pretty corrupt, wouldn't it? Also, I don't remember Jesus ever asking you for money, or asking anyone for money. Wasn't he a carpenter? I think that he just gave the message for free, because why would you ask anyone for money for that? So I would say anyone that's asking for money, to enlighten you regarding the Bible, which is just a message of altruism. But I will be happy. In fact, that's my thing. Is I have to do that today too. Roger Reads the Bible starts today because it's very important for you to understand that the Bible is an altruistic message that understands that the core problem is in these hierarchical, deceitful manipulations of religion. The Pharisees. The Pharisees killed Jesus because Jesus represents the altruistic model that would replace them, but they just love their power so much that they'll just kill anyone and destroy anything just to feel better than you. And that's where we are still. So I think that we maybe are in a point where we have to be better than this time. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to ruin this world until there's nothing to save. And there's not much more time left. So you kind of have to get through this. This is like one of those,